Hello everyone and welcome to part 6 of our sew along. We finally got here. To be honest, we've had enough adventure already this year to last us the whole year. We're done. We're going to have a nice, quiet and restful remainder of 2025. Fingers crossed. Here we go. So, to be quite honest, by now you should be working independently and have a really good idea about how to process your sashiko and realize that all we're doing is just a simple form of stitching. If you stitch in an order that's not, you might get partway through and think that maybe you could have stitched it a little bit more economically. That's okay. It's just stitching. Just enjoy the process. There is no right or wrong. The little tips that I'm giving you are just going to make that your life just that little bit easier. So I've got a couple of little designs to just go through in this video, and then I'm going to talk to you about how to look after your panel after it's been stitched. So let me just swap to the main screen. Okay, so first off, what we did in our last one was this one here, which was our little stars. So it's quite intense stitching, and so we did our north-south stitching and our east-west stitching. What we're left with is our little diagonal lines, but you'll notice when you look at your panel really closely that it's actually not a complete diagonal, so it's actually offset. So what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to pop that aside, and I have a little piece of paper, so I'm going to just draw it on here for you. So what we do is we have our stars. Now these obviously are larger than what is printed on our panel. So this is our north, south, east, west. And then our next star in the next row is actually, oh, my pen's running out, here. And so you can see then when we have our diagonals that fit through this way, our diagonals actually don't line up. They're not a true diagonal, so they're actually slightly offset. And this may not be exactly to scale, but the way that we're going to stitch our diagonals is really quite simple. So I'm going to swap to a highlighter. Okay, so what we have here is we have a row of diagonals. So when we do our stitching, and it's much easier for you to see on here, on our row we're going to stitch here and here, and then we're going to carry our thread down, and we're going to stitch back this way, carry our thread, stitch across the bottom, and then we go back up and across and up and across. And then when we do the next row, we'll go here and here, carry our thread down to the bottom and up and across. Okay, so that's a little bit different. Now you can stitch this however you choose. This is just a method that I'm giving you that might work for you. And you may say, I do not have any intention of stitching it like that. That does not work for me. That's fine. That's no problem at all. You stitch the way that works for you. So that's that one, and we've got a few of those panels to stitch. Then the last one I want you to have a look at is the last panel. Actually, let's have a look at our star arrows. So we've got this long panel on the bottom here. I'm going to just move the camera down a little bit closer. My fabric over, there we go. Okay, so this is our star arrows, and so with our star arrows, push this over this way, what you can see with our star arrows is I've actually treated it as 4 rows. I'm going to move this out of the way, and you can see that I've got a half a row here. So I have stitched up and across, all the way over. Actually, I started at this end, stitched over, and then I've done a second row which has just mirrored it. You can see the bottom half. I will have a third row that comes through here, and then I will have a fourth row, which is the bottom half of our arrows. Love this design, but I have to say it is quite time consuming to stitch. The effect is amazing though, particularly in a variegated thread. So that's called star arrows. And then this one is a star variation. So what I have discovered with this one is the easiest way to stitch it is that if we pick these diagonal rows, now the reason I've stitched it first is because if I hadn't stitched it, it's really not particularly obvious. It's a little bit blurry today. I'm not sure whether that's the lighting that we've got here, but it's a little bit blurrier, so but we'll be okay. So you can see what I've done on this panel is I've stitched a diagonal row up, across and down. Now when I stitch my next diagonal row, what it's going to do is our little diamond shapes are going to be slightly offset, and we can stitch those rows all the way up, and what we'll be left with is just our straight horizontal rows to fill in. So that's actually really quite a quick design to stitch. There you go. So by now you should have been able to work on any of your designs that you choose. Okay, so what you're left with, you may have a few straight designs that haven't been stitched yet. Go through and fill those in, and you can make sure you put your borders around them if you choose to. We've got these two plain, well we've got more than two, but under the camera we've got these two plain areas here, which is just an outline. This gives you the option to do a few different things that you want with them. You can simply stitch around the outside, or if you choose to, you can actually applique a piece of fabric over that cobblestone. So you could choose. So your applique method could be whatever you prefer. So we've got one here as well. So the method that you use could be a needle turn applique. Perhaps you would prefer to use a fusible applique. It's really completely up to you. So you might prefer to make a template of this and then have your edges turned under, and you might choose to machine stitch it down. It's really up to you. There is no right or wrong for the way that you would like to do your applique. I'm just going to move this up a little bit and swap back cameras and just have a little chat to you about, I've got a camera right in my face there. Okay. Have a little chat to you about how to treat your panel once it's completely finished your stitching. So there's a few different things. Now, one thing to remember is that the designs that we print at Indigo Niche are traditionally screen printed, and the designs are designed to fade. They are not completely 100% wash away and may take a few washes to fade. So they may not disappear completely, which is why we recommend that you stitch all of the designs. There are other designs that you can buy that are completely wash away designs, but the one that we're working on today is designed to fade only and may not completely disappear. Okay, so what do we do to finish off our panel? So firstly, it's up to you to decide what you would like to do with your completed panel. If you're wanting to make it into a table runner, what you would do is trim your fabric, add any borders that you choose, and then you would add your backing fabric however you choose. So you may choose to put wadding in it and backing, stitch around it like a small quilt and add a binding to it, and that's completely okay. It's really up to you. You may choose to just add a fabric to the back, stitch around the outside, leave a gap for turning, and turn it right side out, bag it out. That's okay too. So it's really up to you. What I recommend is that after you've finished your stitching, is that you just give your fabric a light press from the back with a dry iron, a medium heat, not hot, not linen, not cotton, just a medium heat Just give it a little press from the back just to get any major fold lines out of it so that when you trim, you're trimming it accurately. Give it a little press from the back. Don't add wadding, iron-on wadding, or interfacing or stabilizer to the back of your sashiko panel. So if you're wanting to add wadding and it's an iron-on or a fusible wadding, fuse it to your backing fabric, not your sashiko panel. If you're wanting to make your finished item a little bit more stable and you want to put some interfacing in, for example, a table runner or a placemat, fuse the interfacing to your backing fabric, not to your sashiko panel. This will allow your sashiko panel to sit flatter, and it also stops the risk of any catches with threads being caught on the interfacing with the fusing. So it just allows that your sashiko panel to still have a little bit of natural movement, but you've got your protectant of the wadding and your backing fabric. Once you've got it stitched the way that you want to have it stitched, and it's completely finished, you've done any stabilizing stitching or quilting or whatever you choose to do it, that's when I like to give it a little rinse. So I don't rinse it until the very, very last moment, and often I don't rinse it until after it's actually been used a few times as well. So, and when I say rinse, what I do is I rinse it in either you can get, there are quilt wash products that you can get, or I use a wool wash, because generally a wool wash doesn't need as much removal, so it doesn't get as sudsy, and so it's easier to rinse by hand out of your finished project. So I like to use a wool wash with the recommended water temperature for the wool wash, which is generally lukewarm, so not cold, not hot, just body temperature. So just slightly take the chill off the cold water, and then you can rinse it and give it just a little rinse out. And then again, dry it flat on a towel out of the sun, and then give it a little press with an iron once it's been rinsed. Again, I recommend that mostly you try and press from the back. You may find that you need to give the front a press after it's been rinsed. But that's kind of all you need to know. I guess this is really just a little bit of a tidy up. We've taught you all about your sashiko stitches in the previous 5. We've learned about starting and finishing. I am also going to show you, just out of curiosity for you ladies, or for you, get lots of queries about the back of our projects. Okay, so yes, I do carry threads. Yes. No, it's not like our embroidery that we did at school, where the back needs to look the same as the front. That is just absolutely not possible with sashiko because of the way that the designs are stitched. We're not doing like a crewel embroidery that looks the same front and back. But you can still keep the back quite neat, making sure that you trim your tails and that like your little loops of thread aren't too long, you've got no knots, just keep it nice and neat. Putting a backing fabric on here, no one's ever going to see the back of your project anyway. So I think that's about all from me for our sew along. I hope you have enjoyed it, and again I do apologise for taking so long to get to this point. Fingers crossed we have no more sickness. It's another 50 years that it takes before Brisbane gets a cyclone, and we have another great event in Melbourne. So thank you for all who have joined in. We hope you've enjoyed it. We are going to do some other sewing type projects throughout the year, so we hope that you will go and subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up to our newsletter, and we will hope that you enjoy your stitching. Once again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to comment in here. We also have a private Facebook group called Indigo Niche Sashiko Community, where you're always welcome to ask any questions about our indigo niche projects. So we hope you've enjoyed it, and we thank you for joining us, and we would love to see your finished projects, and we'd love to see the different colours that everyone has stitched their Finding Steps panels in. And until next time, thank you for joining us. Bye.